Centuries ago, a faraway culture was plagued by an epidemic of mass killings, but over time managed to rid itself of the problem. How did that happen?
The deadliest mass shooting in modern American history.
And what can modern-day America learn from it? When European explorers arrived in the Malaysian archipelago in the 1700s, they observed a phenomenon called amok, the mass murder of that era.
An individual who, for various reasons, usually because he's suffered some humiliation, some indignity, engages in this aggressive, homicidal, frenzied attack with knives and other sharp weapons. Suddenly, a lot of people lie dead and there's blood everywhere. He would get as far as he could before the villagers, the family members, or if they're around, the police cut him down.
Amok became commonplace in a culture where every man carried daggers and swords, and the amoker achieved a degree of fame.
One of the points of running amok, it seems, if there is a point in it, is that I'm going to die a heroic and honorable death and get rid of all of this indignity that I've suffered. The spotlight would likewise be focused on him, and maybe in that sense the amoker and the modern day, mass killer in the United States is not that different.
Modern-day mass killers spend days in the media spotlight.
Who is Dylan Ralph?
This is the first look inside the home of mass murderer Omar Mateen.
With stories that seek to explain their motivations and grievances.
Why did a gunman mow down worshipers inside an iconic Southern church?
Kelly had trouble at work. As recently as this summer, he was fired from a nearby water park.
When grievances of the mass killer are treated with serious consideration, they not only give the mass killer exactly what they've been looking for, but they inspire other mass killers. They see the formula and they replicate it.
Song Hee Cho wrote that he was inspired by the Columbine killers attack 8 years ago today.
It's not, as people like to say, oh, it's just human nature. When people feel humiliated, and especially men feel humiliated, of course they pick up a gun and shoot. No, they do that in a society where, for one thing, lots of guns are available, and where the cultural model of killing and shooting in people in a public setting is already available.
Which brings us back to Malaysia, where amok came to be recognized as a mental illness and, over a century, slowly declined. One of the many factors was depriving the amoker of a dramatic death.
Instead of taking part in the normal pattern of simply killing the amoker, they start to arrest them. They send them to lunatic asylums, alive, which completely changes the dynamic. Eventually, it loses its appeal.
In the U.S., some news outlets are also trying to change the dynamic, focusing coverage away from the mass killers.
I want you to know we are not, during this broadcast, using the name of the shooter. Often it seems that in history remembers the names of murderers and not the names of victims.
Cultures themselves are so complex. The idea that you could solve the problem of mass violence in the United States by altering a single variable, I think, is a huge mistake.
But historian Jeffrey Robinson says the biggest lesson from Malaysia is that amok, once thought embedded in that culture, eventually faded away.
America is not the only place where this has happened. It's not something in the American psyche that has always been there and will never change. You can at least hope and work for a time when this mass violence will become, as amok did, less and less prevalent and less meaningful to people.